Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. Welcome to Look Back. This is a show where I go back a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. I take a look at the reviews I did this week during those years, and I give you kind of my thoughts on those games now, if I think about them at all. So here we go. We're going to jump back, first of all, 1 year. So last year, I took a look at Nice Buns, which sounds like a different game than it actually is. It's about, the collecting different bun foods to do. It's kind of a little collection game from Big Potato, and it's okay. 6 out of 10. Automated Alice. Man, I really wanted to like this game. Automated Alice is kind of a cooperative style game, and it has some background theme with Alice, one of these many Alice in Wonderland universes. I don't know much about the background, this specific one, and I thought the game was fine, but it's very, very lucky, some dice placement, and it just kind of, there's not a lot of real decisions to be made in it, but there's a lot of interesting ideas too. Art Deco, Rio Grande, kind of an auction-esque game. You're collecting cards, and then you're trying to display them and sell them. If the game looked better, I'd give it a higher score, but it's still pretty solid, 7 out of 10. Dream Member, this is a game that has, when you put out all the cards, it looks like a very famous painting and all, but it's a nice little card-style game, 7 out of 10. Word Heist, this is from Game Right, trying to guess some words, but then trying to guess what other people are going to guess, which I liked. I think it's a lot of fun, 7 out of 10. Then we have Corrosion. I'm actually surprised. This one did not seem to get a lot of buzz, but there's a big Euro-style game where you're collecting different gears of sizes, and you're also running a machinery where it's turning the whole time. A lot of really cool, engine building, literally engine building, 7.5. Radlands, what a great little two-player game. I keep wondering if I should up this to an 8.5. Very popular game. It's in a Board Game Geek top 200 at this point, I think. But I give it an 8. Very solid game. Has a good CCG feel. I like the artwork. Just really, really good back and forth. And then Return to Dark Tower. I gave this an 8.5, but with these expansions and stuff, I realize it's just got to be a 9. This game is fantastic. So definitely worth checking out. So that's a year ago. 5 years ago, I took a look at a game called Illimat. This is from Keith Baker, who's a designer of Gloom. I didn't like it at all. It's kind of a trick-taking card collection. It was a 4 out of 10 for me. But keep in mind that I'm very much in the minority. A lot of people really like the game. Fallout. Oh, I wanted to like Fallout so much. The Fallout universe is interesting to me. This fantasy flight game, but it's just too long and too drawn out. They have some neat storytelling elements, but this is a 5 out of 10 for me. Atari Centipede. This Centipede game where it's based on the popular arcade game, but not very good. A two-player back and forth, I didn't like it. 5 out of 10. Ancestry. This is from Calliope, from their Great Designer line, Eric Lang. And most of the Great Designer line from Calliope games feel like a leftover game, and this definitely feels like a leftover one. I like the concept, building your little family tree out, but it just doesn't come out to be that interesting. It's fine. 6 out of 10. Keeper. So Richard Breeze makes some really cool games, and I like his stuff. And Keeper has this really neat thing where you fold this piece of paper, around. But what's not neat about it? You only can fold it into 4 positions. And so it's just not good enough. There's some workers. If I take this and get my workers back, I'll get your workers. There's some interesting ideas. It comes together to be almost what I wanted, a 6.5. Wartime, Battle of Valiant's Vale. This is a 7 out of 10, but this is very specifically for me. So timer games, and in fact, I'm talking about another timer game this week, often don't work. In fact, I would say they very often don't work. This one is not going to work for 90% of people. It's a 7 for me, but it's going to be 3 for most of you. Because it's a war game, and you're moving timers based on different cards and things that you have. It's very esoteric, but I like it. Riverboat is a 7.5 for me. This is another game that I'm kind of surprised did not do very well. But a worker placement and in front of you with fields, and there's a riverboat theme. It's very, very, very Euro. The theme's barely there, but I like it, 7.5. Cytosis, a cell biology game. This is another one from Genius Games. One of their better themed ones. I really like the idea of a cell and everything. I use this one many times to teach, to show people that games can teach science, but it's also very fun, 7.5. And Invisible Ink, a really interesting game where you're wearing glasses, and someone's drawing a picture, but the color of the glasses means you can't see the picture. You can see how they're drawing it, but you can't see what it looks like, and you're guessing. That's a fun thing. 8 out of 10. All right, 10 years ago, I took a look at The New Science. Now, what's funny is this game feels like a game from Genius Games, but actually it was published by a company called Conquistador, who then became Artipia, who then was bought by Genius. But this game about publishing different scientific things, a really cool little tree track thing, 7 out of 10. Among the Stars. So this one here, when this came out, I was like, this defeats Seven Wonders. I'd rather play Among the Stars. And I do like Among the Stars. It's a drafting game, and then you build a little space station. There's a lot of cool things to it. Has a nice expansion, but setup and takedown have dropped it a bit for me. So it's, instead of an 8, it's now a 7. Noir. So Level 99 put out a pack of 6 games, and many of those games, like a pack of 6 games sold together, many of those games were okay or not good. In fact, 4 of them weren't. 2 of them, though, were quite good. And one of them was Noir, deductive mystery game. In fact, they then published it separately in many different forms because of this. It's a 2-player deduction game where you're trying to figure out who the murderer is. There's actually multiple ways to play, but the base way of playing works really well. 7.5. Clash of Cultures, 10 years ago, 7.5 for me. A big, civilization building style game. I don't know. I haven't played the new one, so I don't know what it is. I do worry the new one seems to be incredibly long, which is why I haven't got it to the table yet. But I do like the original 7.5. Mutant Meeples. Now you might say, that cover's terrible, and you'd be right. This is a game definitely based on ricochet robots. Ted Alsbach does that with a lot of his games, based on other games, but it has special powers for all the different things in it, superhero powers, and I really thought that added a lot of fun to the game. It's a puzzly style game, and I wish it looked better, but 7.5. Aladdin's Dragons. 10 years ago, and they just, in this past Essen, they came out with Kedem's Dragons, which is a remake of Aladdin's Dragons, which was a remake of Kedem. It looks the same. I saw it. Aladdin's Dragons, really fun, blind bidding game where you're kind of putting out your different workers, some of them face down, so people can see how many things you're putting at a spot, but they don't know how valuable it is. There's a few small issues I wish, and I don't think they fixed them in the new upcoming thing, but I still really like the game. It's a lot of fun to go into the caves and get those treasures out. So 8 out of 10. And then another game from that series of 6 from Level 99 is Pixel Tactics. This one, though, I gave an 8.5 to. This is a 2-player game where you each have equal decks, and they also made Pixel Tactics 2 and Pixel Tactics 3 and Pixel Tactics 4. But in this game, every card you play goes into a little grid in front of you, a 3x3 grid. But depending where you play it, depends on the special abilities of that card. And each card can even be played as a special card that does an action. That's really neat. And one of those cards gets turned upside down and becomes your leader, which gives your whole ability, army a special ability. It's really neat, it's both symmetrical because you have the same decks and asymmetric at the same time because you pick 2 different leaders. Immediately, your special powers are different and how you play stuff out. Really fun concept. I'm not huge on the pixelated artwork of it, but I like the fun game part of it. So Pixel Tactics, a lot of fun. And those are the reviews that I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Look Back on the Dice Tower.